Hello, everyone. We are now into the weekend. It is April 18th. It's Saturday, and I ended up sort of waiting a day on this video. I was a little bit fatigued yesterday, and I'm actually now glad I did just for news reasons because now we can see on Saturday the Strait of Hormuz has been reblocked by Iran in response in retaliation to the US blockading the strait after after Iran had reopened it. So, at this point Bitcoin is responding as sort of a front run for futures probably on Sunday night. That's how it typically operates. And it's giving us an idea of kind of how Monday is going to work out. Now, the bull case is, well, Parker, we've been fading, it seems like every weekend because of some news in the Middle East, and then we taco by Monday. And while I definitely will concede to that thought, I do think Monday this time will be different because yes, I'm going to use that expression. This time will be different. And the reason why I think that is the market has now had such an overextension that so much positivity is priced in that it's just, even if it wants to taco, it's going to take a couple days because I think the market needs to relax. uh, we need to get a little bit of selling pressure and encourage traders to get back in to buy the dip because you're going to get guys, you're going to get the bears come out this weekend and say, who start pounding their chest. And listen, you know me, I was a bear for most of the year, and I will get bearish soon, but I'm going to tell you, I don't think actually this is the beginning of the end at all. It is funny though how sentiment can, I just always find that fascinating how so much bullishness on Friday, like buy, and oh my god, Microsoft to 450. And now we've got this news, and then the panic starts to percolate again. And it's incredible just how that can shift just on one news item. That's all it takes. And this is why I defy anyone to tell me that, no, forget about your technicals. Trump controls the market. I reject that premise. The technicals are guiding you all the way. And when Trump says something, many times the technicals, we're on resistance. So we get a pullback right when Trump tweets. Or when Trump comes in and saves the market, we're just about to break down and then we hold support or reverse. We dip below support and then recover. So the technicals are ultimately the beacon in the storm, guys. That's what guides me through all this chaos and keeping my emotions in check because I got as much emotions as anyone else watching this video. It's my ability to read the charts, and that calms me down. It lets me look at this objectively, even though this is money, this is real life. It lets me look at the markets purely as an objective entity. And what I can tell you right now is, I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart. We can start with that. I did want to get into some of my past plays. I'll put Bitcoin off just for 2 minutes here. Some people were asking me about Katos, and guys, it was just kind of annoying. I think with Katos, I don't think this is a bad trade. I did get stopped out. I kind of went in. I think the mistake that I made, I went a little too heavy, a little too early. I thought this $72 would hold, and it didn't. And then I was down like pretty fast, 10% on a decent position size. So I'm like, if this dumps lower into the next week, I wasn't guessing something would happen in the Strait of Hormuz. I didn't want to be so overweight Kratos, right? And I decided, okay, I'm going to just cut this position. This is bear flagging on the daily chart. It looks like it's going to go lower. And so I got out around $71.50, $72. There's a good chance this is going to reverse now on Monday, given the news. So we have to get above this resistance. I think I'll look at this again on Monday. Everyone that sold with me, don't beat yourself up. This was just, I'm going to take ownership on this one. I think I just alerted this a little early. Hey, we could have said the same about Uber. Was I too early on Uber? No, it ripped like 6% in a day and we made 50%. So I stand by the entry. Unfortunately, it didn't reward me this time. So I'm taking a little loss on this one. I will maybe look at Kratos again, but I'm going to go in smaller on it. I think I just went a little too heavy, and that's my bad. But if you're wondering about Kratos, I will talk about it more in the Discord next week. I'm not going to completely write it off, and if you ended up holding, you might end up doing okay because this technically hasn't broken down. Though in theory, my argument was that this could still go to maybe down to 67 to $64, and then I would definitely get back in there. But I may have gotten shaken out of this trade. So, I'm not perfect. I always tell you kind of what ends up happening in the trade if I win or lose. Where we did win, we did well on app loving, had a good day. This is probably going to pull back on Monday if the markets are down. App is definitely risk on. It's not going to. I don't think it's going to go up while the market goes down. They have the earnings in about 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks. We are above resistance, unconfirmed, mind you, above resistance. If we get a pullback next week to 459, I'm going to be adding to my position. Okay, I'm not done with this market going long. But I do want to talk about that. I took a lot of profits on Friday. I told everyone in the Discord that I was unwinding, de-risking. I want to say I'm not done going long on this market. I still think we have more gas in the tank before Nvidia reports next month, end of May. Now, AppLovin looks interesting. It's still intact, guys. You're going to see people getting upset probably on Monday about it. I'm just telling you, while they're getting worried, I'm buying this dip. If we get anywhere down here, as long as we hold the 455 area and don't close below this line of resistance that was broken, then this trade's intact. Pullbacks are healthy. Okay, so that's App. Those are the two I want, and then the third, of course, Walmart. I mean, makes up for Kratos and Spades. I literally set my buy alert at 123.50, and I was in a small starter position. I just accumulated at 124. We came down in the morning. My phone rang, a Walmart buy alert, and I just hit the plunger and bought like a decent amount of options. I'm not going to tell you how much, but I bought a solid high four figures amount, and we ripped 30% in a day. This was just a nice bald candle. This will probably go higher. I think Walmart could go higher on Monday against the market. Where is it going? We can see if you do my trend lines, which is what I stand by, we could potentially get up to this 131. Just have to be mindful. This could be seen as a rising wedge pattern. These break to the downside. So I think Walmart is in play up to 132. Remember, I said that. But this is a credible rising wedge pattern. I would maybe expect a pullback. We come back down to 126. I buy the dip and maybe one more move to all-time highs by earnings. Walmart is in play, though. I like it. So those are the three. Kratos didn't work out, but it looks like you might be, if you held, you might be green on Monday. Walmart was beautiful, 30% in a day. I took profit on that position. And then, what was the third? AppLovin. It's going to probably pull back on Monday, but guys, I'm a buyer of that dip, just to be clear. I don't think that runs over. Now, so what did I buy? I did have a few things that I accumulated. I alerted in my money team mostly. These were a lot of small positions. What I did do though, and I told everyone in the Discord this, and this might play out on Monday, I bought Chevron. I didn't go huge on it, but I did short-term options, so there'll be leverage. I like to go, if I go small, I'll buy like shorter term, like 2 to 3 month options, because I know, if I'm wrong, it'll hurt, but it won't hurt. It might be down 20%, but on a small position. But if I'm right, I could be up 50, 60, these can go pretty fast. And I only risk my premium, which is that small position I paid. So if it's $1,000, that would be a small position for me. That's not what I paid for Chevron. But if I put that, I can only lose max $1,000, right? But if it goes up real good, I could, that could be 2, 3x depending, right? So that's when I like to go small, but with a little bit more leverage. That's my personal strategy. So that's what I did with Chevron. I did sort of these 2-month options. They report in 2 weeks, guys. I mean, everyone's now fading oil. I was fading oil at the top when everyone was saying not everyone, but a lot of people were saying it's going to 200. I said, all right, have fun with that mission. I hope you loaded into your calls at $115 a barrel. It was literally the top. We all bought in. We all shorted oil basically I think we started at 108 and I added a little more at 114, and then this thing just completely rolled over. But Chevron produced a hammer candle. I don't ignore those. It's an unconfirmed hammer candle. We need to have continuation and put in a higher high against this high around 184 tomorrow. We should be able to do that. I would expect Chevron. I'm looking for about 192, 196 to take profit before earnings. I don't think we're going back to the all-time high. So I want to be clear about that. But I like Chevron. I think this is good. I went a little more defensive. I actually bought some RTX, kind of on support rate here. They've got earnings actually early next week. I like IBM. We got above resistance. We closed above resistance. Potentially we wick down on Monday. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to go on a limb, and you can remember I said this. If the futures open lower and IBM will look lower in the pre-market, I'm telling you, I'm going in. This is gonna be up on Monday. Just watch. Even if we open at 250 on IBM, I am gonna expect that to close positive on the day. If not, at the absolute latest, it'll close positive on Tuesday. But I'm gonna say Monday. We're gonna end up green on this. So I will be buying more to my IBM position if this pulls back to 250. Okay, so that's first and foremost. Those are positions that I like. I want to get. Oh, and the McDonald's was just beautiful. Literally bought the bottom on this. Told everyone that I had bought. This is more for larger accounts because it's I think one contract is a little over $2,000. So you don't want to go in if you're like if you've only got $5,000 in your account, you don't want to take this play. And buying shares of McDonald's, it'll be too slow. It's not worth the squeeze. So this was only for larger accounts, but we all bought down here, and look, we went right up to the resistance. I said it from the very beginning. We should get to 307 minimum. Got to 307, then we gapped up. Went even higher than I expected. Worst case, we consolidate a little bit, maybe on Monday, but I would expect McDonald's to get up to about 320 by earnings, and then I'm going to be out of this trade. I am still in a few contracts. Took some profits yesterday on McDonald's, but I'm still holding. Hims. Everyone's want to know about Hims, guys. I'm loving Hims. I did take profit on a third, okay? I did take a third off the table. I was up so big. I was up 90 something percent. It came down. I probably shouldn't have sold. I took profit at around 75%. I think that was, I probably should have sold up at 95%. It was maybe a little bit of an emotional call, but I start seeing 70, 80, 90%. I'm like, okay, take some off the table because you just never know. But if we want to take away all the emotions of what I just said and me like is it going to go higher? Is it going to go lower? This is a really good candle on Hims. I was hating it. That's why I took profit because the body was down here in the early afternoon on Friday. I'm like, oh my God, that's a massive topping tail. That's like I guess you would call that a gravestone doji. Now, of course, I sold and then it reversed, right? That was a fake out. So it closed into like a neutral candle. There's enough body there where I think if we come back down, I might get into I'm going to keep my leaps, but I might do some shorter term options around here, guys. I'll put in a 10, I'll put in like a 20%, 10 to 20% stop because, that would require probably price to go down here to be down 20%, which if it's going that low, then this breakout's failed. So I'll just get out, take my 10 to 20% loss. No big deal. But I'll probably go in with some short-term options on Hims. And then I'm expecting this $27 to hold on Monday, even if we have some downdraft in the market. And then by middle to late next week, guys, I think Hims has good potential. If this can confirm and get close above this $30, basically, I think we're going to go to $40 by earnings. I really think that. And we've got 3 weeks. I do some 1 month options, guys. I'm telling you, I know what I'm willing to lose, right? So if I go in with 1 month options on this, but I'm going to wait for a dip, get my best entry around 27.40. I would love that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take some risk there. So that's what's on my radar. I like app still. I bought Chevron for more defensive. I didn't alert this in the Discord yet, guys. I can't do every play because I don't like to be. I take on a lot of trades. I don't want to overwhelm people with too many setups. But I did do Northrop Grumman. This is a defensive. It wasn't a huge position. If I go in really small, I don't really post it all the time. Just full disclosure because I don't have a massive amount of skin in the game, so I don't want people to, they think I'm super bullish on it, so they go like way heavier. I just feel like it's a bit irresponsible of me. So the ones that I'm like most committed to, I will post about. But I just let you know quick, I did end up buying Northrop Grumman. I was looking at this, I'm like, we are literally on the absolute base of support here. Look, the charts tell you where the market's going, guys. I mean, people want to say this and that, and the charts don't matter. But this told me, well, everyone was panic selling the defensive. Like you had these YouTube, hypesters talking about buy defense, literally at the top, using their followers as exit liquidity. I was telling everyone, guys, I'm fading this move. Now, I never did end up getting into a position. I didn't get into an entry that I liked. But mentally, I was like, no, fade defense up here. Doesn't make sense. We had bearish divergence forming and then we rolled over. I still think defense is going lower, but could we bounce up at least to 700 and 705 next week? It's possible. I'd at least look for, about 700 here at these wicks. Maybe it rolls over after that. I'm only going to hold NOC for a couple days. They report on Tuesday, guys, so I'll probably be out of this by Monday. Just full disclosure. I think this will have a nice move. So I'll take profit on NOC. And that's the gist of it. I did want to also update you on silver. So I followed through with my promise, guys. I told you a few weeks ago, if I screwed up this trade, I shorted silver too early and I was down 18%. And I said, if it goes down, if we go down in the market on Monday, which we did, and then the market recovered by the end of the day, this was a week ago, I said, I'm going to get out of silver. So I followed through with my word and we got, where was Monday? here. Yeah, we got literally here to 74. It was at 74 and I got out. And like right after I took an 8% loss. Look at the move. So guys, you got to stick to your trade plan. If you tell yourself if you get a dip, you're gonna get out of a losing position. Excuse me. You gotta listen to yourself, because this just went up 10% since I sold. So I mean, those puts are just fried. They would still be worth something. They would have intrinsic value because they expired in September. But I would be bleeding my portfolio. I don't want that. So I am looking to short silver, but I'm waiting for it to get up to about $85. I'm going to be patient on that. I do think we're getting very close to a top in the market. I am going to talk a little bit about that. Those are the plays. I'm out of silver for now. Gold I'm looking to short as well, but not quite yet. I think once it gets a little over 5,000. I'm talking about that in my money team, guys. So I'm giving all the alpha in there. I will talk to you about Bitcoin, though. I will share this with everyone. Guys, I've called Bitcoin perfectly. Now you're going to say, no, Parker, you got that wrong. You said we were going to put a lower low in this month. Okay, you're right about that. But when I pivoted, like, I went exactly with the direction of the market. It wasn't like I'm pivoting and then the market went the other way, right? So I'm still going to say I've been calling it right. I got a little bit of my time frame wrong, which I've got wrong in the past with Bitcoin, but the macro move, I still I do get micro calls wrong with Bitcoin, but my macros are I still want to say unless this is the beginning of a bull market, I'm still going to double down and say I was right ultimately. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to come out and say, "Whoa, I got that one wrong." Unless Bitcoin is truly going to break out and get above the 50-week moving average, I'm still going to declare victory on this as a bear. However, here's the however. I don't believe Bitcoin is done going up. And I'm going to be a bull when everyone's now bearish on a Saturday, when everyone was saying to the moon on Friday. So I shorted Bitcoin on Friday, disclosed that in Money Team and in the Stocks with Josh Discord to everyone. I think I apparently I was being laughed at. I read this today in the comments. I'm like, someone was laughing at me. I should have bought more. When people are laughing that I'm buying in a position, guys, I usually double down, triple down when I see that, because I am an aggressive contrarian trader. And when I see I'm betting against the herd, obviously it doesn't always work. There are, like, Amazon didn't really work out very well for me, but Bitcoin loves to bamboozle the herd mentality. When everyone's getting bullish, dump. Everyone's bearish, that's the bottoming event. So I looked at Bitcoin and I said, okay, I'm going to take a short off. I think I got it around 78.3. I was flat on the day when the market closed. I do believe this is going to hold, okay? I do believe I'll be in profit on Monday. We won't gap up unless something changes over the weekend, but I'm not expecting, the technicals are not pointing to that. And what I mean by this does not look like it's forming a flag. A flag, the red candle should have had a little wick a bit higher. I'll do this the proper way. We should have had a wick up here, and then we'd be sort of doing this, going sideways to go higher. This is more of like an inside candle. This is, the body is engulfing, not engulfing, but it's contained within the body of this green candle. So this is almost like a bearish harami. It's not a perfect harami. That's some Japanese candle theory. I'm not going to get into that today. But this is signaling to me that Bitcoin will go lower. How much lower? Probably between 74 to 75 next week. I wouldn't think it goes any lower than that. I will be closing my short position on Bitcoin if we get down there to around 75, just to be clear. Because I thought about it more, and I actually got more bullish seeing this pullback today, because everyone's now getting bearish on crypto again. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll fade that and I'll go long. Maybe around 75. So I'm going to close my puts on Monday. I'm going to expect one more push by Bitcoin up to 80,000, 79, 80,000. You heard it me. I'm going to stand by that. I don't think Bitcoin is done running yet. But I do think it might take a week or so for us to get up there. 80,000. Probably once we get into the Mag 7 earnings, I would expect next week to be a little choppier. You know, we got the Fed meeting also in a couple weeks. That's going to add a little bit of uncertainty. So Bitcoin, I think, will consolidate. It might go a little lower, 74, 75, somewhere around here. Worst case to the bottom of this wick at 73.5. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we get to 73.5, I'm going to go long on Bitcoin. I will go long to ride that up. I do not think that the top is in yet on Bitcoin, though we're getting close. Okay, so that's where I stand. I also have my eyes on Ethereum. I mentioned to everyone in my money team, I came out on Thursday night, and that was a private video, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. I told them that was just for them. But I told them, guys, Ethereum is about to break out. Unfortunately, the options market was closed. I would have got into probably a 0-day option here, and I would have printed, but I couldn't get in. It had already moved by the next day. So called Ethereum perfectly. I am going to tell you right now, I believe Ethereum will start showing strength over the next week or two. So you've heard that from me first. I think Ethereum is going to outperform. Where do I think it's going? I think we could potentially get as high as 2,600, and I will be shorting that. I didn't short Ethereum this weekend because I think it's going to start showing relative strength soon. We're going to see some alts move. Even Solana might get to $100. So yeah, I just got a little more bullish on crypto seeing this pullback on Saturday. I think I will cover my shorts by Monday. So I wanted to be upfront about that. I don't think the bear market rollover is starting yet. It was invalidated a few weeks ago, about a week ago. I called it perfectly. I went on the live stream with my money team and I said, guys, got it wrong. We're going to gap up huge. And we were at 70,500 when that happened. And now we went up to 78 in a couple days. I said within a week, we'll probably be close to 79,000. It's all there, guys. It's recorded. I'm not sure if it's in the archive, but I have to pivot. Like, you got to be very quick and nimble as an experienced trader. When you're wrong, you don't sit around and think about it for a while and get your ego bruised. You got to get out there and tell everyone and just be upfront and honest. And then that's how we all make money. We all had a profitable week because we were willing to pivot. Once I realized I was wrong on Monday, yeah, our accounts gapped up as we went long. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I did have another. I wanted to go over ASTS lastly. I got to tell you guys, this is where being a contrarian doesn't always work. Listen, I bought ASTS like at a good price. I should have been a bit more patient and bought it at 84. And what ended up happening is I bought around 87, 88. We gapped up. I was up 5-6% on my leaps, and then I saw Friday morning some bad news hit about they had an elevated short interest, and a huge investor, potentially someone on the board of directors, sold a massive stake in ASTS. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I don't think I'm going to go back into this trade. I don't like news like that. And you say, well, Parker, you're a technician. You don't respond to news. I respond to insider trading. Heavy insider trading is what sent HIMS from $60 down to $15 within a few months. So ASTS, this could easily, this wedge now to me becomes less certain. And I did say in my video that this was kind of an unconfirmed breakout right here. It was unconfirmed. Here, never put in a higher high. It always closed. This candle came close, but it never did. We had this really bad red candle, seller's candle. We came up and I said, oh God, this really needs to get this. We need to invalidate this candle and close above the high. We never did. I just think I'm going to stay away from it now. I was stopped out of my position at break even. I got back in a small position thinking maybe I got shook out. Of course, I wasn't wrong. I took a 5% loss on that small position. I just said, you know what? I'm over trading ASTS now. I'm just going to move on from it. I should have been in Rocket Lab, so congrats to those who were in RKLB. That's the other reason I don't like ASTS right now, is because Rocket Lab has a phenomenal week. This is not a great candle. We'll probably get a pullback on Monday. But why isn't Lunar Intuitive Machines is up huge? Rocket Labs is up huge, and ASTS is down 8% on a week. I said, no. I've been burned too many times because of these situations where you get heavy insider selling in the short interest spikes. So I'm going to tell you right now, institutions might be positioning themselves against ASTS, and there could be a significant drawdown in this stock. And you might say, hey, Parker, you're pivoting. Why are you flip-flopping? Guys, I respond to the technicals every day. And when I see the market booming on Friday from the Strait of Hormuz reopening and ASTS is down 2% in pre-market, I'm like, that's relative weakness. The market does not reward relative weakness right now. You want to keep fading that. If anything, I'm looking to maybe short ASTS. I might jump in on that put party. Because if we break and lose $83, 82 at the lowest, if we close a candle below that, oh guys, this could get ugly. This could easily lose the 200. We could go down to, I would think we're going at least to $60. So just be mindful of ASTS. It's rocky right now. This obviously was a bad candle, and I was aware of that from the beginning. I thought, maybe we can invalidate it, but now we got rejected again. It's something at most I'm day trading right now, guys. I think I'll go into other plays that are showing strength in the market. I've already mentioned a few of them, and I actually bought some Netflix for long term. I won't get into that in today's video, but I think next week in the market, if you want my final thoughts on kind of where we could go, and I just realized my camera isn't on. Oh my God. I'm sorry, guys. That's too bad. We'll have to do that for next time. But what I realized, let's see if I can put my camera on here. Can I, in closing, I'm not sure if I can. There we go. So, guys, hello again. What I'm thinking for next week is we're going to see some chop on Monday, maybe even Tuesday with retail sales, but I'm not done thinking this market goes higher. Okay, a little bit of digestion would be necessary. Bring the RSI, we're up at 77 on the daily on the SPY. That needs to get back in the 60s. So I would expect that to happen next week. And then I'm going to start legging back into my calls. I'm pretty much out of most of my calls, saving except for about AppLovin. And I bought a lot of defensive names. And then Walmart. I got out of Walmart. McDonald's. I still have McDonald's. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Those are my thoughts for this week. I got to wrap this video up because we're getting close to 30 minutes here. It's too long. But I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys on Monday, and we're going to do Sunday Swingers Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So tune in for that. I'm going to be doing all your TA, whatever you want. You're going to be giving me a time frame and what your exit strategy is, and I'm going to TA all of it for you and how I would trade it. So I'll be doing that tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Tune in. For now, over and out, guys, and looking forward to Monday. It should be pretty interesting. Take care.